Angola has become, in the eyes of the world, a success story. For the past decade, it has had the fastest growing economy in the world, and it is now the third largest economy in sub-Saharan Africa. For the past 5 years, Angola has allocated, through the state budget alone, up to $40 billion in defense and security appropriations, harboring regional power ambitions. As far as democracy is concerned, during the same period, the country has held 2 successful and peaceful elections. The ruling party, in power for 37 years, nearly 38 now, and the president in power for 34 years, have consolidated their power with democratic legitimacy. And this is after 27 years of civil war that ended in 2002. Why would a government with such an impressive record and well-funded defense and security apparatus be so adamant in repressing small bursts of public dissent and criticism? Just last March and April, the police briefly arrested dozen leading youth protesters in the streets before they could assemble for another attempt to exercise their right to freedom of assembly. Since 2011, young people have been trying to emulate an Arab Spring in Angola, and they denounce corruption and incompetence as their main motto, and they call on the president to resign after so many years in power and economic problems for the majority of the people. And in their attempts to demonstrate against the government, protesters have been repeatedly beaten up, and sometimes in their homes before they can get out to go and protest. So it's called the preemptive action by the pro-government militias. And my point here, talking about economic issues, is that violence in Angola is serving as a strengthening tool of the most effective way of repression the regime has come up with, and that is institutional corruption. And why is that a form of violence? Because high economic growth has had very little or no impact on the lives of the vast majority of Angolans. More than 60% of the 19 million people still live with less than 1.70 cents of a dollar a day. The most common word now in the streets is that there is only peace, but there is no bread. And that slogan reveals the predicament many Angolans find themselves in and the government's responsibility. And also that contrasts with the fact that Forbes just recently listed the president's daughter as the first female billionaire in Africa at the age of 40. And then there is the problem of hunger in the country. It continues to haunt the country. The government itself estimates that as much as 10% of Angolans are at the risk of food insecurity due to drought and poor harvests. And the government refuses to declare a food crisis in the country, for it would contradict this success storyline. Just in one particular province in the south of Angola, there are over 800,000 people in a situation of hunger, and that represents over 74% of the population. And the governor of that province, just on May 10, denounced that situation, but the government still refuses to declare that there is a food crisis in the country because it's important to project that image that the country is going very well. Also, the other major problem in the country has to do with the way national reconstruction is being done. The government has established a deal with the Chinese government that is now up to $15 billion in investments, in which the government provides oil to the Chinese in exchange for infrastructures. And that deal has included a labor force of 250,000 Chinese that are at the moment in Angola, building hospitals, roads, and all sorts of works, and with very dubious quality. And just as an example, the only hospital, the main hospital built in Angola since independence, collapsed after 4 years of its inauguration. And there is also a major problem that this model of reconstruction has brought. We have over 200,000 demobilized soldiers and a youth bulge as 50% of the population is below 18. Very young population. And this model of reconstruction has excluded people from the process, and the Chinese model has not helped, has not brought training with it that Angolans desperately need if they're to have a sustainable economy. Simply the Chinese build infrastructures, deliver them, and then remain in the country. The other important aspect I just wanted to touch briefly when we talk about the political economy of Angola, it's the structure of it. In the 90s, President dos Santos set up a task force within the intelligence services to distribute state assets to certain families. And the policy was to enrich a number of families to create an elite, an economic elite. And that process just spiraled out of control to the extent that nowadays no major investments in the country can be done without having the presidential family, powerful generals, or important officials as shareholders in the joint ventures with foreign companies. And that happens to oil multinationals, construction multinationals, all sorts of businesses. And there is another problem also that I briefly just want to touch. It's the state of the Angolan army that has received over $40 billion in the past 5 years. We have problems, soldiers, especially out of the urban areas, hardly have barracks. They live on tents and straw and mud shelters because of the lack of investments in the army. And the question is, where is those $40 billion going? So in a sense, the government is debilitating the army as a way of preventing it from, at some point, becoming a powerful force, as it happened in Tunisia or Egypt, in which the army took the side of the people for a peaceful transition. And it's in this line of schemes that it's very dangerous for the country, and it's very unstable when we have a situation whereby the country is awash in money, but we have a very poor army and very rich generals that can make it to the Forbes list. And that's what I think it's very important for the external audiences to get, that there is no stability when you have such a type of army where just the generals have everything and the soldiers have nothing. Thank you.